You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Sail GP hits Los Angeles this coming weekend, racing tomorrow and Monday from 11am New Zealand time. Looking forward to seeing New Zealand enter the weekend first on the leaderboard after beating three-time Sail GP champions Australia at last month's season opener in Chicago. Let's get you to Los Angeles, bring in New Zealand wing trimmer, co-CEO of this operation, Blair Tuke. Blair, thanks for joining us, mate. How do you reflect back on the way the team sailed in Chicago so effectively and efficiently?
Yeah, hi Piney. That was a great way to start the season, that's for sure. Two very different days we had there. Saturday, the first day, and it's actually Friday there. The first day we had in Chicago was epic, probably some of the best sailing you could do. And then second day was quite the opposite. About as slow as it can get, obviously. Quite boring probably to watch on TV and for spectators. And a huge amount of concentration and finesse for us on board to try and eke every bit out of the boat, and obviously pleasing to do that so effectively, and get off to such a great start. Long season, but pleasing nonetheless to be at the top of the leaderboard heading into racing this weekend.
So tell us about the conditions you're likely to face in Los Angeles. Are we talking sort of 15, 20 knots? Are you going to be able to get up on the foils okay?
Yeah, well, that's certainly what the brochure had, but I think what's always the case when you're using Mother Nature is that it's not always like that, and things don't go to forecast. And what we had today actually was quite a lot of fog set in, which isn't totally abnormal for this area. But when the fog comes, it kills the breeze, and we basically raced in quite light wind, not as light as Chicago, but very light wind. So not quite what we're expecting or preparing for. So had to pivot a bit today in practice. But we'll have to see tomorrow. Hopefully we still get that,
Let's hope so.
In the pocket, 15 to 20 knots. Let's hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you continuing to learn about these boats, even though you've now been sailing them for quite some time? Yeah,
the learning curve's incredibly steep still for, I think, everyone in the league. But certainly for us, we're still really on the steep part of it. And I think because the training time's very limited. So pretty much what you see on those race weekends is what we do on the boats, plus the one day beforehand of each of those. So, you don't always sail in the same conditions. It could actually be 3 to 5 months without or being back into a condition where you're trying to work on something. So that's certainly, the work you put in between events becomes critically important, and then making sure you're really making the most of those time, on the boat. In those practice races, and then into the lead in of whatever you're racing that weekend.
I understand this is the championship's smallest ever course. So with such a small course and a congested field, how important is it to get out in front early?
Yeah, I think we've seen that now in Sail GP as the fleet's got tighter over the last season, 2 seasons especially. The starting to become more and more important, and when you go into a confined area, less room to make passes, it just makes it that much more important. So it's always a goal to try and be in those top few to mark one. If you do that, it makes the rest of the race a lot easier, and it's an area that we've really been putting a lot of emphasis on to try and improve. It was something we didn't do well enough or on a consistent basis last season. So, it's a real area for us to improve. And, hopefully we can, some of the work we've been doing can play out this weekend, and we can get off the line well. And, that should set us up for a good, consistent weekend.
And on a tight course and on, in such a comparatively short race, how challenging is overtaking if you find yourself having to do that?
Yeah, well, it is hard, and some teams do it better than others. I think the top few teams are stand out in that area, and if you're back in 6th or 7th, you can pull that back to a 4th or a 5th, and that makes quite the difference at the end of the 5 races on a weekend. Then obviously you just go to the winner takes all at the end in that final race of a race weekend. But clawing back positions when you're in the pack is very important to do. But still, if you look at the average of what the teams claw back, I think maybe it's like 2 places per. If you claw back 2 places per race, you'd be, that'd be one of the higher, or that would be the highest. So yeah, it's still if you're back at the first mark, it is hard to make passes, but it's important to do.
And what about decision making and staying composed in what is, as I mentioned before, a very short race compared to some of the other sailing that you've done? How important is it to communicate well, to stay composed, to be able to make decisions and changes of strategy fairly quickly?
Well, that's really the whole game. Right from before the start, the lead into the start, or especially the final minute and a half, 2 minutes, it all happens very quickly, and you have to be able to make decisions, communicate some of them just everyone on the team needs to know what's going on, and then obviously your opposition, much like in other sports in rugby where your opposition's constantly changing, it's the same here where the athletes on the other boats are changing their plans, so you're having to adapt to that and to what your strategy might have been. So that's where a huge amount of our effort goes, obviously into the starting side of it, but then also how you do that decision making around the racetrack to try and hopefully either stay in front or push your way towards the front.
You enjoy it?
Oh yeah, we love it. It's awesome to race on a regular basis like this. All the best sailors in the world are here, so to get to put ourselves out there and there's no hiding, that's for sure. All the boats been exactly the same, and I guess your decision making, like we were just talking about, being so important that you get it just slightly wrong, and you get shown up. So yeah, it's awesome to have that opportunity to put ourselves out there every few weeks or months is epic, and the team's, we've had a consistent team now right since the start in Sail GP, and just seeing how they're all we're growing, and it's just epic, the challenge that we're taking on here.
Yeah, it's great fun to watch. Can't wait to watch you tomorrow, 11 o'clock New Zealand time tomorrow, and again on Monday. Hey Blair, thanks for taking our call. All the best for the next couple of days. Yeah,
nice to chat. Thanks, Piney.
Thanks, Blair. Blair Tuke there, out of the New Zealand Sail GP team. So, 11 o'clock tomorrow, 11 o'clock on Monday. We'll try and get you back inside the camp tomorrow on the show after the first day's racing, see how it went. It was, as Blair said, the Chicago leg, it was a good day for foiling on day one, and then on the second day, man, I don't know if you remember, but they were just creeping around this course, just trying to find any puff of breeze they could to try and get around this course.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday, or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.